Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Davo from Archon Esports, bringing you another 1v1 StarCraft 2 cast today. Awesome! Our map is Tal'Darim Altar, and in the bottom right-hand corner we have our red Protoss, who is going to be RGNAxslav today. The RGN, of course, standing for Rain, which is Team Rain, a very good esports team indeed. In the bottom left-hand corner we have our blue Zerg, who is going to be ClashMessiah today. Excellent. So let me just cover a little bit of background information about our two players. Okay, so ClashMessiah is 22 and he is from Korea, or at least he is based in Korea. He actually, a little bit of interesting trivia, he rejected an application from OGSC to actually be a pro gamer for them because he was at college and they wanted him to live in their house with them, and he didn't want to do that because he wanted to focus on his studies and all that good stuff. So yep, that is essentially our ClashMessiah. He has actually joined Clash. He joined this team, I believe, early 2012. That is that guy. And then in the bottom right hand corner, as I've said previously, we do have RGNAxslav, who is a very good player indeed. He is 26 and based in the USA. Excellent. He is also part of Team Rain, and he's known for his prominent Warcraft 3 play. Also what we have here is a prominent expansion from him that looks like it will be coming out because, of course, when a Protoss places a pylon further out of their base than they usually would against a Zerg, it can pretty much only mean one thing, which is an expansion that will be going down. I think we might even see perhaps a forge going down as well. Maybe. It really depends what kind of way he wants to go about it. I remember I cast a game a few days back where someone actually got their Nexus pretty much before their first pylon, but it does look like he'll be getting a forge out pretty quickly right now in order to defend against any sort of early aggression that the Zerg might put forward, seeing as the spawning pool is about to finish. He does also have his expansion on the way as well, so Axslav won't be able to do anything in the way of trying to harass this expansion by blocking off where it can go with any pylons or tricky probe micro or anything like that. So here we do have a Overlord walking into the back of Axslav expansion, surely going to see what's going on here. This isn't probably the best thing for Axslav, but I mean it is fairly inevitable as Overlords in the early stages of the game, especially against Protoss, really before the Protoss gets any Stalkers, play a pretty important scouting role. Against Terran it's slightly different because you can get Marines out pretty quickly and they do shoot down Overlords rather quickly. But we do have the expansion going down for Axslav right about now. Excellent, which of course will help him push this into the mid game, which is what every Protoss wants against a Zerg opponent. We also have the spawning pool up right now for Messiah, and it does look like he could be doing a little bit of harassment, but I don't think that he'll actually be able to harass very much with this one Zergling just yet. That would be the dream, of course, that this Zergling could take down an entire base, but unluckily there is a photon cannon here from Axslav, and I don't think that Zergling is going to want anything to do with that photon cannon, as that can be pretty dangerous. Messiah taking a third expansion as well, which again is very, very common for Zerg in this situation. They do like to macro up quite explicitly, let's say, if their Protoss opponent block in. You can't really blame them, seeing as the Protoss does essentially hand map control over to a Zerg player when they do this kind of thing pretty quickly, and of course it's very, very important a Zerg's macro is good, so why not take advantage of that massive amount of map control that you've just gained by taking on another expansion, of course. Excellent, so we do have, of course, this rallied up here as well, so all of his units will spool in this little area here where these two Zerglings are valiantly guarding. Excellent. And we do have weapons +1 from on the way from Axslav as well. Very, very standard Protoss play versus Zerg. It tends to be, lately anyway, block in, get that weapons upgrade. Of course, it makes Zealots and Stalkers and all that good stuff really, really effective against the Zerg units. In fact, it makes them pretty effective against most things. We do also have the Warp Gate research on the way from Axslav right now, along with a Stargate as well, which again is becoming fairly standard Protoss play, actually, because they do like to, once they've blocked in, they do like to kind of stick around and then go and kill one of their opponent's expansions. So, I mean, if ClashMessiah doesn't scout this, then and he might have some Void Rays up in here pretty quickly. And if he doesn't have a layer by then, or at least a evolution chamber, which he is getting now, so he's okay. You know, so he can build spore crawlers. He could have been in a lot of trouble, but luckily he is getting that tech that is relevant for defending attacks such as the Void Ray attack, which is on the way. I think that is one of the mainly cruel things about the Stargate. You can actually see what your opponent is building inside the Stargate, I believe anyway, because you can see the Void Ray there. And I know that when you build Phoenixes, you can see the Phoenix in there as well, so I'm not really sure if that's entirely fair. I don't know, I'm not actually sure if it does that with all different kinds of building. I'll keep an eye on it, see if it does. Sorry, for all different kinds of air unit for the Protoss, we'll see what happens. Definitely though, on the other hand, the Mothership doesn't do anything like that. It just kind of comes in at the Nexus, but we don't see the good old Mothership enough, unfortunately. This Void Ray does look like he'll... Sorry, I had trouble finding it. Does look like he'll be burning away this Overlord. Boom! There goes the Overlord, splatting into a million pieces and falling very far down to his death. Ouch for him. We have 3 Void Rays. 3 warp gates positioned strategically at the back of AxslaV's base, instantly warping stuff in as well. And it does look like we might be having a small sort of push out here. Of course, this pylon here warping stuff onto the low ground as well, which is really, really nice because that's quite close to his Zerg's expansion. His Zerg enemy is expansion. That is, dear oh dear. Getting in a bit of a tangle today, but we do have a pretty standard Protoss Void Ray Zealot push, very much talked about by Day 9 lately, because it has come to some people's attention that maybe Protoss do have some difficulty against Zerg in the early game, and Day 9, who, if you don't know, which you definitely should, is a bit of a guru on these kind of things, and he essentially has said, you know what guys, you should Void Ray and Zealot push and all be good. And fair enough, pretty much all is good for Protoss players that do this. As you can see, it is actually causing a relatively large amount of damage. It definitely looks like Messiah's Queen is going to go down, and of course Roaches and Zerglings can't shoot up. There is another Spore Crawler on the way here, but Spore Crawlers can't shoot ground units, unfortunately, so they can just get taken out by these Zealots pretty quickly. This Void Ray here is fully charged. AxslaV will want to keep it that way, of course, because the Void Ray does damage over the time that it's been attacking. The Spore Crawler coming down as well, giving the Void Rays more room to maneuver without any danger. Also, we have more Zealots streaming in here into the Spore Crawler just to make it a little bit extra safe for the Void Rays, and this is what I mean about this strategy. It really, really can punish a Zerg player very early on. They have to be very, very careful about it indeed, because I believe I may have said this before, the old sort of style of ZVP or PvZ, whichever way around you want to take it, used to be you block in completely and then do a massive Colossi push, but now it is swinging much more into the whole, okay, let's go the Void Rays route after you have done a nice little strategic block in, and it can really, really mess your Zerg opponent up quite badly. You know what can mess Roaches up quite badly though? Being trapped within 3 force fields like that. Ouch, that hurts. We do have some sort of counterattack now coming from ClashMessiah. It does look like it is a kind of a... It does look like it might be an attack to kind of buy himself some time. Unfortunately, these Void Rays are bearing down on top of these Roaches, which of course can't shoot up. They can't even jump that high, unfortunately for them. So they die a pretty defenseless death, and you could say that the Void Rays have been massively cold-blooded in killing them. Poor Roaches. Ouch. But you know what we do have on the way that counter Void Rays quite nice? We have Hydralisks on the way with the Grooved Spine upgrades, which I believe ramps their range up to 6. We also have the ranged attack upgrade as well for the Zerg. So overall, I mean, AxslaV is going to be receiving some pain through those Void Rays fairly shortly. But he is getting Blink for his Stalkers as well, and of course that really can, with the correct micro, can make Stalkers a very, very deadly unit indeed, with a lot of longevity. If we look at the upgrades for AxslaV as well, they're not as thorough as some other upgrades I have seen in this matchup lately. Lately I've seen a lot of Protoss players getting their weapons upgrade very, very quickly indeed, like their 2 and 3 weapons. But Axslav is just getting his 2 weapons now. He has actually got his 1 armor as well. But he is going to have to be very, very careful about these Hydralisks coming in as well, because they are a very, very good damage dealing unit, and they can sit quite comfortably behind these roaches and shoot their spines all day and kill a hell of a lot of stuff. There are some really, really nice force fields coming in from Axslav. Very nice force fields indeed, trapping all of the really, really nasty ranged damage dealing units out of the path of the Zerglings. So really, really affecting, really splitting the army up in 2 very nicely indeed. And it does look like we will see Messiah doing some fairly decent micro away now. But if Messiah is not careful, he might actually get trapped with these Hydralisks. Unfortunately, it looks like it won't be enough. And there's a GG from Messiah, who has lost his 3rd base. Everything has gone a little bit wrong. That push at the end wasn't a massive success. The force fields there that divided the Zerglings away from the Roach and Hydralisk army were very, very good indeed. Very respectable. And that is just a classic example, I think, of that Void Ray kind of blocking open a 4 Protoss going very, very well indeed. And I find it really interesting, really, because I'm a Protoss player and I remember blocking in with, you know, with the same kind of blocking, but blocking in completely so there's no gap, getting loads of Colossus, just doing a massive push and pretty much winning the game. And it's really funny to see now, because if you try and do that now, you'll kind of get a bit smashed. The way that Zerg players have adapted to it is really, really good. I really like it, and it's forced Protoss to actually use their brains, which is always fun. And yep, that is about all I've got to say for today. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. Have a nice day, enjoy playing StarCraft, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.